was a typical Thursday evening when I arrived home after a long day at the office. The house was unusually quiet as I stepped through the door, the familiar sounds of my daughter's laughter absent. "Hello?" I called out, setting my briefcase down. The silence that followed made my heart quicken with worry, and then, from the kitchen, I heard a hushed voice. Peering around the corner, I caught sight of my husband, James, standing close to our young nanny, Lily. Their heads were bent together, sharing a moment that instantly sent a chill down my spine. "Hey, sweetheart," James said, looking up suddenly with a forced smile. "You're home early." Lily, who was usually so bubbly and warm around me, looked startled. "Hi, Mrs. Anderson," she said, her voice tight. Something in the air felt wrong, but I pushed the feeling aside, hoping it was just exhaustion playing tricks on me. Days passed, but I couldn't shake the unease that had settled over me since that evening. I started noticing little things, James being unusually protective of his phone, Lily seeming more distant around me. One afternoon, I arrived home unexpectedly to find them laughing together in the backyard, my daughter playing nearby. Lily quickly excused herself, her cheeks flushed. "Isn't she great with Ellie?" James said, a bit too brightly. "We're lucky to have her." I smiled weakly, trying to ignore the knot tightening in my stomach. Was I just being paranoid? The truth hit me like a sledgehammer one Saturday morning. I had returned home from a work event early and walked in on them. There they were, entangled on the couch, a sight that shattered my world. My heart pounded painfully in my chest as they scrambled apart, guilt etched across their faces. "Anna," James stammered, reaching out futilely. "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. My husband, the father of our child, had been cheating on me with our nanny, a young woman barely out of her teens. I confronted James later that evening when Ellie was asleep. His excuses fell flat, each word driving a deeper wedge between us. How could he do this to our family? To me? My anger gave way to a tidal wave of heartbreak as the reality sank in. "You need to leave," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of rage and despair. James pleaded, begged for forgiveness, but I couldn't listen. I needed space to breathe, to think, away from the man who had betrayed me. "I got distracted, Anna," James insisted, desperation edging his voice. "Lily was just there. I felt neglected, like I didn't matter anymore." His words were like a cruel joke, gaslighting me into believing that because I was busy with work and taking care of our child, his infidelity was somehow justified or understandable. "You made a choice, James," I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. "You chose to betray our vows, our family." James's eyes faltered, guilt flickering across his face before it was replaced by a defensive mask. "It meant nothing," he insisted, his voice hollow. "It was a mistake." But the damage was irreparable. With trembling hands, I showed him the door, a final act of defiance against the lies and deceit that had shattered our lives. Weeks turned into months as I navigated the pain of betrayal while trying to shield Ellie from the storm brewing in our home. The days blurred into a routine of work, childcare, and sleepless nights. Legal consultations followed, the prospect of divorce looming large. Then came the day James served me with divorce papers. The sight of those documents, so clinical and final, tore at the last threads of my heart. He wanted joint custody, as if our daughter was just another possession to be divided. As the divorce proceedings dragged on, I learned through mutual acquaintances that James and Lily were now living together. Lily had moved into our old house, now transformed into their love nest. The irony of it all was suffocating. The woman I had trusted to care for my child had replaced me in my own home. One evening, while scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a photo that cut through me like a knife. It was James and Lily, smiling blissfully at some event, my daughter with them. The caption read, "Family outing with my two loves." The tears came then, hot and relentless. How had it come to this? How had my life spiraled into a nightmare of deceit and heartbreak? The court battle for custody was brutal, a war of words and accusations. I fought tooth and nail for Ellie, determined not to lose my daughter to the wreckage of my marriage. During the final hearing, as the judge deliberated, my heart pounded in my chest. Every word spoken felt like a verdict on our future. When the decision finally came, granting me full custody of Ellie, relief washed over me like a tidal wave. But the judge wasn't finished. And furthermore, she continued, her voice firm, Mr. Anderson will be required to provide substantial child support payments to ensure the well-being of his daughter. Additionally, Mrs. Anderson will receive alimony to support her in restarting her life independently. I blinked back tears of gratitude. It was more than I had expected, a lifeline to help me carve out a new path for Ellie and myself. As the courtroom emptied, I clutched the papers in my hand, a mix of emotions swirling within me, relief, sadness, and a flicker of hope for the future. With the divorce settled, I focused all my energy on rebuilding our lives. Ellie and I moved into a new home, a fresh start away from painful memories. The old home reminded me of the horror that was still fresh in my heart. Each day was a step forward for both of us. Months later, I received an unexpected email. It was from Lily. She wanted to meet. Against my better judgment, I agreed. When we met, Lily looked different, less the young woman I had entrusted with my child, and more like a lost soul seeking redemption. "I'm sorry," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "I never meant for any of this to happen." As I listened, a strange sense of empathy washed over me. Perhaps we were both casualties of James's betrayal. Then, Lily hesitated, as if debating whether to share more. "I should tell you," she continued hesitantly, "that I caught James lurking around other girls too. It wasn't just me. That's when I realized I had to move out." Her words hit me like a blow. The realization that James had been unfaithful beyond our marriage left me speechless. Lily's revelation peeled back another layer of deception, deepening the wounds that still bled within me. "I'm so sorry, Anna," Lily said again, her voice raw with emotion. "I hope you and Ellie can find peace." As I walked away from that meeting, I carried with me a mix of conflicting emotions, anger towards James, pity for Lily, and a renewed determination to move forward with my daughter, leaving the betrayal and heartbreak behind.